guys, I know that we do a lot of like tabletop games here, but I'm a real gamer. I play real games, and that means like video
on
games,
your phone.
right? Yeah, on my phone.
Wait, tabletop what?
Yeah, you know the ones. So like
Is
I've
that
been thinking a
American?
lot lately about like new games, because there's a lot of new games coming out right now. Some of them I'm interested in playing. Some of them I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it. But it has me thinking a lot about like all of the different like games that I have played over the years. Some that were good, some that were bad. And it just has me like, what are some of the games that you guys have played that are like, I don't want to hear about like, you know, like, oh, what are the most formative games? What are the best games? Like everyone, we can talk about those whenever, but like, what are like just the shitty games? Like, cause I'm sure that you guys like me have played some really, for whatever reason, just shitty or weird, like just out there bizarre games.
Okay. So it's interesting. I was just thinking about how when I was a kid, it's kind of like when you start a book and you just, for the longest time, you feel like you have to finish it. And eventually you realize like, wait, this sucks. I don't have to finish this book. Like same thing with video games. Like I would just play it and I'd be like maybe I'd fall off eventually, but I'd always beat the game. I'd always like go over the whole thing. I always, when people ask the question, what's the worst video game you ever played? I bought Brink. And anybody who knows what that game is knows how bad of a decision that was.
Brink.
Yeah, it's like it was like a shooter that was like a parkour shooter, but it had like three classes. So you had like a lightweight, a middleweight, and like a heavy guy. So it's like the lighter you were, you could do more parkour stuff. Heavier you were, you had more, like health. But it was.
Oh, this is a 2011 game.
Oh man, it was bad because it was like online. I don't want to say online only, but it was like one of those games where the story was delivered in multiplayer. So like multiplayer games, which I think is really annoying. Sorry, Titanfall, I love you. But it's really annoying.
Overwatch 2 was just announced, man. I don't know.
I don't play Overwatch.
You're making a lot of people oh, geez. You're going to anger the fan base.
You hear that other John who we know? I don't like Overwatch.
Alex, do you have anything to say?
I was going to let that hang as long as you let it.
Overwatch.
Do you also hate Overwatch?
Yeah,
do you hate popular things?
God, worst game I've ever played. I don't know if you've ever heard of this one game called Elden Ring. No, I fucking love Elden Ring. I can't stop. I'm a big fan of Resident Evil games. I consume, devour, eat, live off of most of those games. Right. And when I try to think of like bad Resident Evil games,
there were a lot of stinkers.
There were a lot of stinkers. Umbrella Corps is a classic one. It was like, hey, everybody, Editor Alex here. I just want to say that I actually meant Operation Raccoon City. Whoops. I'm not very savvy with game terms, but it was like a squad shooter kind of, right? So you were like, you pick one of several Umbrella mercenaries, and you're like running and gunning through the game. And like, I remember hearing it be announced, and I was psyched. I was like, hell yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna be like Hunk, not an attractive man, but a character in Resident Evil. Are
you claiming that Hunk from Resident Evil is not an attractive man? Because I feel like he's got to be on some level.
Well, we don't know. The Reaper is never taken off his mask.
That makes it even hotter, Alex. Let me have my fantasies.
All right, well, maybe I don't want that. But, right, Umbrella Corps was kind of weird. The mechanics were kind of broken. The game was heavily story-based. I just remember playing it. I remember playing it and having fun, but I think it was more like playing it with a friend and having a good time at how ridiculous the whole thing was, right? Like I know I had a roommate at the time when it came out, and we would like play these games together, and it was just a weird fucking game, right? And I look back at it now, and I'm like, wow, this is awful. But I think about it, I'm like, I had fun playing it, but it was a bad game. It was a bad game. Sorry, that's not very definitive. It's just been a minute since I've played it, so I can't remember what necessarily was awful about it. But I do remember looking back and being like, this is bad.
I have the same. I've been sitting here trying to think of one, like, because Brink I think is a little too early for like the premise of the question to some extent, but like,
well, no, I mean, it can be.
games,
and I remember games from when I was really young that were like, I look back on them now and it's like, that was bizarre and awful, but I did have fun playing a lot of them.
Hello, everyone. We're the hosts of 2 Weeks, One Shot, and this is something. This is TWOS Talk, I guess.
Is it?
It's a podcast inside a podcast, inside your dreams, inside your ears, where we spin a top and your wife is dead and we're trying to do a heist, but we're also falling off a bridge and oh no, there goes the gravity. Where we, the aforementioned hosts of TWOS Cast, talk about, I don't know, we just talk.
Well, now I feel like we should talk about Inception. We could easily
say hi.
I had something else planned, but
that wasn't a video game, Inception, because it was not a video game.
I watched the movie and my control didn't do anything.
Just it was not very interactive. Talk about cutscene central.
Okay, so I have another
4.
game.
Well, hold on.
Wait, hold on.
Introduce yourself.
We didn't say who we are.
Who are you?
I'm John, and I have another game.
I'm Brian, aka Elix, and I was ready to talk about games. Now I kind of want to talk about Inception instead, but we'll rein it in.
Am I Harold? No, I'm Alex. Hey, hi.
Okay, so listen, I have 2 games now. Speaking of, all right. So first one I was thinking is I was really into this show and card game called Chaotic, and I've tried to get Brian into it because
Chaotic. Yeah, no, I remember.
I got hyper fixated on it again, and I tried to get Brian into it, and he was like, "Yeah, maybe," and which he never did. And that's fine because I've already don't care about it again. But they released a video game called Chaotic Shadow Warriors. Now, the cool thing about Chaotic is like the idea of it, right? Is like you have the card game, but then if you're really good at the card game, you get invited to the world of Chaotic, and like you get like a digital clone of yourself sent to this other world. Oh. And then when you go back to the real world, you sync up your memories. But when you go to that world, you have like a holodeck situation where you turn into the card characters. You're not playing the card game. You turn into the characters. You have their powers. You go to locations and you like fight as the characters. Like it's super cool like idea. And in the video game, instead of doing any of that, it was more like Pokemon, where it was like you just select an attack. It was turn-based.
Really quick. So I'm sorry to interrupt. Where did that line go from being the video game to being the real world? You said if you do good enough at Chaotix, you are then transported.
Alex, did you watch Yu-Gi-Oh?
I'm just trying to like, if you're playing the game Chaotix, and then inside the game you are then
singular.
Your
singular
character
chaotic.
is taken over. Sorry, you're good at Chaotic, and then once you're good enough at Chaotic, you're moved over inside the game to a place where you actually play Chaotic,
so
or was there like an invitational?
Yes, no. So you in the world, right? There is a card game called Chaotic, and there's also an online game. The real world.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you. All right. I'm sorry.
Like in the universe of the real world, there's a card game called Chaotic, and people play it. But if you get high enough ranked in it, you get a special invitation code that when you put it in, you experience nothing, seemingly. But there is a copy of yourself sent to this other universe of Chaotic, in which that universe you can actually have this holographic technology or whatever. You turn into the creatures and you fight other players as the creatures. And also those creatures exist in real life as like a separate reality also, and you can go interact with them. That's the whole thing. But the point is, like, the whole conceit of the show is like you could go and you actually become them, and you're like in these fights. You're not just playing a game that's representative of them. You are them. And then
but you're just playing a card game in real life.
That. They don't play like a fighting game in the show or in the game. They give you like 3 moves to pick. It was terrible. And then I had another game, and it was James Bond Quantum of Solace, and it was terrible.
I'm still stuck on Chaotic. That sounds like some Code Lyoko like bullshit, you know? Like
The premise of that whole like concept of the show, the game, everything, it was very much like Code Lyoko meets I started to bring up Yu-Gi-Oh with like, if you remember like the Yu-Gi-Oh virtual world arc where it was like we've made a VR game based on the card game, and now but Kaiba's trapped inside, so you need to go save him, and it went on for like way too long. Chaotic was like that as its own show.
I don't remember anything of Yu-Gi-Oh past season 2.
Here's the fun thing, Sean, that segment's happened within season 2, I'm pretty sure.
Season 1.
I think that was season 2.
But the actual game Chaotic was just a card game. So it was a show, and then you just played a card game after, right?
Yeah, in the real life, it is a card game.
Okay, thank you.
I've never been transported to Chaotic.
This is not a real world phenomenon where people could buy trading cards at the store, and then you played in the tournament, and they were like, here's a code, go type in this URL on your computer, and you'll be uploaded into the Chaotic space. And
I'm going to be honest, that's what I thought was happening. That's why I was like, this seems really arbitrary. Why would you do this?
Okay. Alex never knew that there was this whole like super advanced virtual reality game that happened in
Alex,
like
what
the
do you
early
mean?
2000s.
You were part of the virtual gear in Chaotic and uploading your consciousness
my
into
issue
the world.
wasn't like, oh my god, this fantastic world. My issue was that it sounded dumb. And like,
you don't know about
I was like, this is just a card game. I'm sorry. Just the explanation was just hard to delineate where the fucking just buying a pack of cards and where the show was. I wasn't sure which one you were outlining. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I'm talking about the lore, which is deeper than that.
It's important. Okay. It's important to bring up the lore.
It starts with like an actual universe of creatures that live and fight each other, and then on top of that there's another universe where people
I got that.
Copy that, and then on top of that there's our universe where we copy that into a card game.
I do feel like this is not meant to be like the Chaotic episode of this podcast.
Brian, shut up! I'm taking over.
But like I do want to say I feel like Chaotic to some extent. I know that like Yu-Gi-Oh and some of the other like ones like that are still running. Obviously, Pokemon still is too. But I feel like Chaotic was in some ways like that final gasp of like creating a new IP in that whole vein of like, you know, Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Beyblade, Bakugan, of like all these things of like, it's a children's card game, but also an anime like cartoon series that's going to be about like really high concept issues and crazy shit happening. But it's all still linking back to this very real product that we are selling in stores. And there were a lot of those, and they are many of them still going strong.
If this episode wasn't about Chaotic, what was it supposed to be about again? I'm sorry.
I was just trying to talk about like random weird video games and stuff that we've played over the years and that I have discovered more recently.
We got 7 minutes to talk about it.
There's a lot of them, and we have 7 minutes left to discuss. So the first one I'm going to hit you guys with, this is mostly an opportunity for me to just like send out these games that do exist, and I encourage you to like look them up as I'm talking about them.
I'm gonna.
Some of these I do own, some of these I do not, and many of them I've just like run into over time. So the first one I want to bring up, though, let me double check. I want to get the name correct so that everyone at home knows that this exists. Cool, I did have the name correct. So on Steam, there's a game currently available for sale. It's currently $11.99. I'm looking at it right now. It's called Elf Breeding Farm.
Oh,
and it's exactly what you think it is from that title. That's the first one I want to hit you guys with. Just knowing that is a game that is fully programmed and exists and is out there. And I'm not encouraging anyone to like.
Doesn't Steam have like rules on that? Like,
no, I mean, they have rules on what you can show on like the page for it on the although even those are definitely, I've run into some games because I do. So to give a little context for how this happens beyond
please, Brian.
I'm an internet degenerate. one of my cards I have allows me to I can get like benefits if I buy a certain amount like in one go, like it is in Steam you can fill up your cart with as much as you want and then buy it. And so I often find myself in a situation where I'm like, oh shit, if I buy like $2 or $3 more worth of games, I'm gonna get some I can get better benefits off of this purchase. And so there's a lot of times when I find myself like digging through the bottom of the barrel on Steam for just what is the absolute gutter shit that is being like put down to like 79 cents for this game. And a lot of them are there's some wacky weird shit that you can find.
Can I for listener safety,
I don't own Elf Breeding Farm. I will confirm that for you.
Look, I'm not here to judge. What I am here to do is to say that on your next couple of suggestions, if we can highlight an NSFW tag. Obviously, the name should be pretty obvious, but just a quick warning before we tell the listener to look this up on Steam.
No, listen, no, I distinctly said not to look. I said you could if you wanted to, but don't. Please don't look any of these up. If you're sitting at home, there's some weird shit out there. These are not all going to be like that. There's some other weird things that, leave it to your imagination. There's some other weird ones that exist. I'm trying to scroll through. Now I am scrolling through my library.
There's 2 bundles for this.
I'm not going to send out anything too.
It has 24 Steam achievements. Here. What the fuck?
Yeah, dude, get some Steam achievements for breeding those elves.
How valuable are those items that Steam gives you?
Ooh, that's a good question.
They have 7.
God, how much can I sell these trading cards from Elf Breeding Simulator for? God.
Oh man, there's like a story wrap up and I don't want to read it. It's not good.
What's the next game, Brian?
God, yeah, I'm trying to find like other ones that are like not just that they are weird, but like also have kind of like weird names that'll immediately call to mind what I'm thinking of. One that it's not like too weird, but it's a game called Paunch, which I think was actually like it got some internet time for a little while. People were like, "Oh my god, this game!" And it's basically it's like a very stripped down fighting game where you just play as like 2 big fat dudes beating each other up and throwing rocks at each other. It's interesting.
I can't find Punch.
There's another one like that called Dive Kick. That's a similar deal of like
I've heard
this
of that.
Super stripped down fighting game where all you can do is dive and kick, and you just like jump up and you it's literally just like jumping and then hitting another key to like try and kick the other person. And
that looks like
there's some
time.
Interesting games that are just like these very like super stripped down concepts of like let's boil this to like the core of this idea of this genre.
And they do it though because like when you do this thing, you come up with those crazy games that go really big, and they're on Twitch and they're on YouTube. Like you got what's that one with the guy that's in a trash can? He has a sledgehammer. And he's just
fucking
like,
getting over it with
getting over it. But it's so weird. And it's just like you get stuff like that just are. I mean, I don't know how stripped down that is, but you get all these ideas that get really stripped down, and some of them go crazy big.
You know, speaking of stripped down idea, I know we're talking about bad games. This was actually a good one. Have you ever heard of Needhog?
Elf Breeding Farm. Speaking of stripped down.
There's a game called Elf Breeding Farm. No. Have you ever heard of a game called Needhog?
Yes.
Yeah.
That looks fun.
It's great. I know there's part 2 now. I haven't played part 2, but part 1 was a lot of fun. Super stripped down. You're just 2 guys fencing or fighting each other with a sword, 2D, and then the last guy, whoever's left standing, gets to get eaten by the giant worm called the Needhog. I think I'm probably wrong about that.
That sounds more or less correct. Sure.
You're not up to date on your Needhog lore.
I'm not. It's
from the show.
All that Alex knows is eat hot chip, twerk and lie. No Needhog knowledge here.
I pushed out all the Needhog, making space for chaotic.
Yeah. And you haven't even learned that yet.
So there are 4 tribes, except for the
wife's
5th one that comes in and kind of ruins the show for me. They're called the Marillions.
Really?
You can interrupt me at any point.
We should do a chaotic podcast where John explain. No, honestly, okay.
I don't want that.
Not to interrupt the podcast we're currently recording, but idea for TWOS Talks like specials or something, right? Is we what if like we have specials where each of us picks like some niche thing that we know about and just comes in and explains it to the other 3 as best as they can for like 20 or 30 minutes, and we ask questions throughout and we like shit on it lovingly or not.
Isn't that just us playing tabletop RPGs? Heyo.
Yeah, Yes. Also, I mean, that's why it's the natural extension, Alex. That's why it's fitting for Two's Talks.
Well, thank you everybody for listening to this episode of Two's Talk. Please tune in next time where I tell you all about the world of chaotic. Let's get chaotic. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Hashtag let's get chaotic.
That's the tagline for the show.
I don't like that. I don't like that hashtag. Please don't.
It's the show. It's the tagline.
Yeah, no. All right, final weird game, and this is one that I've been playing recently. Actually, like these others are just like weird shit that I'm bringing up.
I wanted that to actually be the end.
No, this is my episode. I get to choose how it ends, and it ends with one more. Well, just sort of. I'll mention two because I played both of them, and that's that. I do strongly encourage. Some of them are NSFW, whatever. Look it up on your own
say
time.
NSFW when you say the game name.
So there's a lot of like Chinese games on Steam that are like, some of them very clear just ripoffs of something else, but some of them are these fantastically interesting like own creation games. And two that I want to highlight, one is a game that is a bunch of characters and then it's called Bloody Spell. And it's this like really bizarre, I've only played a little bit of it.
Is it NSFW?
Yes, this one does have some tags that are not safe for work.
Thank you. All right.
But I have yet to find them. Honestly, I've been playing this game. I've put in, let me check. I put in an hour of playing this game and had yet to find any not safe for work content, because it's really just like this weird like Ninja Gaiden style super intense action fighting game.
Well, the NSFW content starts at 2 hours, so Brian,
maybe honestly, I was trying it. I was playing it like one night. I fired it up and I kept dying to like one of the bosses, and I just didn't feel like trying that hard to get past it. And I'm sure I feel confident in saying there's probably some NSFW stuff right after that boss fight. So like maybe do this on your own time. But like it's interesting, and there's a lot of weird shit like this. But sometimes you find these hidden gems. For example, one I played called Deathly Stillness. This one is not safe for work. You can just look this up. And this one, I don't know if it's actually Chinese. It's from like the Southeastern Asia sphere.
Okay, I see.
And this one's really interesting. It was made in like this like game like dev conference thing of like doing a Alex, Alex is laughing over here as I'm talking about this.
I searched Deathly Stillness, and the synopsis or the summary of the game is just says, this is a boring third-person zombie game with no plot. Complete the quest to kill all the zombies. The game is teaching case game of Billy Chen Zhesheng. Not an officially released game, but
so what this is it came out of like this game dev like kit bash conference thing of like try to make a game in like one day using like assets or whatever. And so this guy put it together, and he ended up putting some work in after that. But it's like this really, I really encourage you, if you are at all interested in like third person shooters, zombie games, whatever, like just download it. It's less than 6 gigs. You play it. You'll put in like 10 minutes because that's really all there is to it. But it feels like really it's just like this phenomenally good feeling and interesting game to play. Like it just feels real good when you're playing it. It works real nice.
I think it's interesting that you're tempering expectation because like, and rightfully so, because the game itself is doing that. I thought that this is a boring like maybe someone hacked the
no, like that's straight up what the guy said, because like that's all it is. It's literally what the game is. It's like 3 locations. And you go in with one of 2 weapons and you just shoot 30 zombies. And that's it. That's all it is.
About the game, literally first line is, this is a boring third person zombie game with no plot. The second line says, please don't have high expectations for the game. This is just a game I made for the tutorial. There is no gameplay, no plot, pure entertainment.
Yeah, no, that's all it is. And it's bizarre that this game exists. And I really want like everyone to go play this and support. Like if the person who made this could have like a team of people working with him to like make a full game, I feel like it would be something like really, really fucking cool. Cause this is literally like a 10-minute demo of just like run around, shoot zombies. And like, it feels really good. Like it just works in a way that a lot of other games of that style like don't quite capture. And that's probably because this is literally all it is, and it doesn't have to support anything else. But like, it's interesting.
Weird. I'm adding it to my my Steam thing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
no,
check
like
this out.
definitely. It's free. So like,
Yeah, it
just
is free.
install
It's
it.
free.
And I know that I know that I said earlier that like, oh, like it's not safe for work. There's like they have added in like just different like asset based like skins that you can play as. Some of them are a little more safe for work than others, is all I'll leave that at. They're definitely stylized in different ways, but like no matter what you do, like it's literally just like run around, shoot zombies, but it's weirdly satisfying.
Well, and that's our show, everybody. Brian's a weird degenerate, apparently, with
Yep.
Steam games.
Hey. I've never pretended otherwise on my Twitch channel.
We're still figuring out what the hell the show is, but if you had a chuckle, make sure to head on over to patreon.com/TWOScast, where you can support our show, which is this one, and some other show where we play TTRPGs, every 2 weeks. But that one's old. This is the new shit. You can go to patreon.com/TWOScast, that's CWOS cast, and become a 2 supporter for $2 a month. And also you can check the show notes for links to everything else. John, it looks like you've been wanting to say something. You can say it. If you want.
Yes. Let's get chaotic. Good night.